Hello, everyone, and welcome once again to Talk Together. And thank you for joining us for an evening of talking about Dungeons and Dragons. And today, I will be chatting to Naail, whom you can see. Mahia.
Mahia.
I am once again your host tonight. We'll be going through some enticing questions and adventurous anecdotes. What questions you ask? Well, the dice decide. And Naail, do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, I'm an actor and just general, D&D guy rocking around, trying his best, learning horse riding, just picking up nice things, keeping healthy, good vibes, playing my guitar in the sun when it's sunny. I'm just a rock and roll dude.
And hopefully by this point, recognizable to people who have been watching the stream.
I hope so, yeah.
If they haven't, where have they been? Where have they been? Exciting times, everyone.
Yeah, watching Roll Together. This is some great times, to be fair. I've had an absolute blast.
This is the weekly fun. Well, before we kick off properly, the stream will run for an hour. We are delighted to be sponsored by Hero Forge, Ultra Pro, and Elderwood Academy, and supported by D&D Beyond, Warriors of Waterdeep, and Level Up Dice. We are Roll Together RPG on all social media, and a massive thank you to our D20 Club on Patreon. If you haven't joined yet, check it out. It's only £1, €1, $1. I think it's just one of whatever currency seems to be most applicable. So have a look at that. Our shows are available as podcasts. Just search Roll Together RPG on your favorite podcasting app. So without further ado, the way that this works, you may well be aware by now, is that we roll a 20-sided dice, and whatever the corresponding number is, that is the question that we ask. So Naail, are you ready for us to roll that dice?
Am I rolling? Are you rolling?
Oh, I'd be rolling. Although
You'd be rolling.
That's quite an interesting concept. Maybe in the future we'll have other people rolling.
I've always got dice to hand. Do you know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
I'm where I pulled this from.
Where? Is there a secret dice pouch? Is that what we're working with here?
It's a demi-plane. Yeah.
See, that's how someone's a consummate pro when they can just lay their hands on dice at a moment's notice. You never know when a game you might find yourself in an automatic state of Dungeons and Dragons.
How I make all decisions. What would you like for tea today? Roll a d20. Not that.
I mean, there's worse ways to live life, right? Allow the dice gods to decide. So as we watch the dice spin across the screen, that is 15. So we start with an interesting question, I think, and that gives a bit of an insight into your thought process. The question is, where do you start when making a character?
Usually a feeling, kind of like a vibe check, like roll a d20 for a vibe check. Yeah, it's kind of like what I'm feeling into today. Like sometimes, like the next character I've got in my head it's usually as well. I've usually been thinking about it for a while. I've been thinking, this is the character I want to play. Like, for instance, it's a monk. And I was like, right, I know I want to play a monk. And I'll be showering or like eating. And I'll just think to myself, you know what? This monk's going to be a bare knuckle boxer. Okay. And then like more will come to me as the weeks pass by until usually you're kind of crowded into doing a D&D session where you've got to come up with a character, and you've usually got like a 2 or 3 kind of in the background. So a character like that will be like, right, I want to play the monk that I've had in my head. But other times when it's more like when we're playing Roll Together, it was kind of like, right, how do you fit into a team? Kind of thing. I'm very open in terms of especially when I'm working with a party and a group, I want to make sure that we've not got a party full of 5 barbarians or something like that.
Yeah.
Just because I want to play a barbarian, so I'll happily take back. And then in that instance, usually I'll think of a character type, find a subclass that I like, and then I'll go from personality wise. Rather than before, I'd be like, I want to play a monk, so I'll do everything from there. It's kind of I'll kind of work a personality, for Barda. I'm sure I can talk about that now because it's been out for a while. But for Barda, yeah, it was all right. There's this. She's a horizon walker. It'd be really cool if she's playing our traveler, got stuck in the Shadowfell because I like the Shadowfell, and then stuff started coming to me about like, well, maybe she's a bit reckless. Why was she in there in the first place? You know, adrenaline junkie, that kind of thing, and it all tied up really well together in the story. Yeah.
So you're a fan of writing out the backstory, or is it more of a mental process in terms of just having your certainty about how the character fits into the world in which you're playing?
It's kind of both. Like for DMing as well, I tend to write out a lot more backstory stuff for NPCs because then it's written down. Whereas for a character, just like, well, my own life's not written down, but I remember it all. So like, for a character, I tend to just sort of, what did I have for breakfast this morning? But yeah, for a character, I've kind of got like little boxes in my head that kind of like have character A, character B, and occasionally I'll go to those boxes and just shove a bit more information in and think and mull on stuff and, you know, get a bit emotional thinking about how they live their life, and then I'll put it in the box and leave it for a while till I come back to it, and then before you know it, you've got a fully fledged character. But yeah. Do
you ever have the backup character in place in case your original gets killed, or would that be tempting fate too much?
You know, that is something that's so popular in terms of like, I love like good old D&D memes on Reddit. And there's always like people talking about, can't wait for my character to die so I can play this backup character I've been thinking about. But I gotta say, like, no, I don't tend to think about the character I want to play. I kind of make the most out of the characters I have.
Yeah.
And especially when I play with my friends, because I'm moving around all the time, they spend like months playing D&D without me. So when I come back, it's sometimes good to just come back as a one-shot character. So I kind of get all the little idea nubbins out of my body. Yeah. I played a thief that got caught straight away and executed. Like,
it's a bit of an outlet for that. Yeah. I remember the last guest character I played ended up being levitated and fireballed. I was like, hey, like, at least it was a memorable thing. And I checked in with them later, and it turned out to be a plot point, and they hunted down my killers and so on. I was like, yes, I have affected the plot in a meaningful way whilst being completely obliterated.
You've left your mark on the story, but you know what I mean? It wasn't important to you, but for them, it's a meaningful mark, and that's all you can ask for, really.
Absolutely, and try and sort of fit into that world. So, are you an NPC character sheet kind of DM, or do you go off the monster stat blocks? What's your kind of approach there? Because I know certainly for some main NPCs, some DMs will kind of think about it in terms of character sheet, almost as a kind of anti-player character. But the opinion seems to be split on this.
Well, when I was younger, first learning about it, because the only way I knew how to make characters were through character sheets. When I used to create NPCs for 3.5.
Oh yeah, classic.
Oh yeah, I used to create NPC characters that were character sheets. So they were usually higher level to make them kind of balanced with them. Like if they did come up against the party, they would be a bit higher level. So you know, sometimes I'd give them a bit of a health boost and things like that, which at the time I didn't really realize is basically what a monster is. It's kind of, especially when you look through the monster manual, they are the kind of more normal characters. Like, I'm trying to think of one now. Like a lich is kind of is basically a wizard with extra shit. like, and that's what makes it more dangerous. And now, when I start making NPCs and things, I will, for the NPCs that aren't important and then maybe the players want to fight, I'll be like, right, let's look up, I don't know, like a bandit chief, that'll do. You know, because this is a martial fighter, or a champion, that'll do. And, you know, an archmage, just, you know, in the back of the monster manual, or is it, I can't remember, one of the books that I've got on D&D Beyond. But for like a bit more of like NPCs that kind of a lot of the campaigns I like to run are very legendary, kind of like you kind of being, it's like the world is normal as possible as D&D, but then you guys are thrust into this legendary story of proportions that the characters maybe don't understand at first. That's what it's my storytelling kind of secret. Oh my god, no, everybody knows. But yeah, for that, certain characters who would be considered normal people would probably have like things like legendary resistances, like Strahd, kind of. He's a vampire, but he's like a legendary vampire. So when you come up against an NPC that's like a hero, it's because they're a legendary hero that they're a bit more tough.
Oh yeah, there's kind of, if you're playing in an MMO or something, they've got a skull next to their name. It's like this is bad business.
They come back at a higher level.
All right, fantastic. Well, let us roll the dice. I've been told I say well too often, so let's go. So.
Is that better? That seems more like so.
I mean, it just feels too immediate to me to be like, let's roll the dice. But maybe that's the way to go. We'll get more
maybe
immediate.
People like assertive, David. Like,
build up some drama.
Yeah.
The dice are rolling. That's happening right now. Yeah.
Right now.
That's it. Ooh, okay, interesting. This one comes up quite often, but it's always very interesting to know how people feel about it. And the question is, so 17, how do you feel about fudging rolls?
Rolls, darling.
Rolls of my tongue.
Yeah, when I had this conversation recently with a friend, actually, another DM, and we were sort of chatting about it, and we both said the same thing, which was really interesting, which was when we first started, and it was a bit different for me, because I started on 3.5 and I was the only one of my friends that knew how to play. I was literally like, hey guys, I got this great new game. And because we didn't have any dice or anything, so I was using my phone app and stuff like that. So I would do all the rolling for them, and it'd be more of like a high octane storytelling where they would still do all the things you do in D&D, but I was doing all the rollings for them and being like, oh, unfortunately you miss, unfortunately you hit. And because I was in control of everything, I felt like giving them a win every now and then, and you know, I never gave them a loss. I know that for a fact, that I wasn't the kind of DM that was like, fuck you, you're killing this monster right now. It was always a like, oh, you're like 1 point away. You know, you're literally one digit away from hitting it. Yeah, you hit it. Who's gonna care, right? And you know, we were talking about that, and he was saying like, oh, that's interesting, because he was one of the first players, and then he became a DM on 5th edition, and I went away, and then I came back, and he was just like they'd created this entire world, and I was like, oh my god, guys, what's going on? What is this 5th ed you talk of? But he was saying that in the early days, he also used to fudge rolls now and then, but he said something very interesting, which was, now I've kind of come to the decision, it was something like that bad rolls are kind of more fun, and it's the players doing their own storytelling. And I'd say when he said, I'm paraphrasing, that wasn't the exact words he said it a lot more majestically and beautifully.
He was wearing a crown at the time, yeah.
Oh, he's royalty, did I not say? King of Latvia. But he just made such a good point, and I was like, that's it. That's exactly how I feel. Like, the things that happen in D&D, you can't script, because you've got this idea in your head, and then the players come along and they just make it 20 times better. Yeah. And part of that is fucking up, is rolling the ones and missing the monster, and it increases the tension. And also when you hit them, it raises the stakes. Like, even if the player is on, I kind of find it's a bit more interesting if you're playing a beast and it is going for the kill. Like, they're on death saving throws and the beast is just ravaging them like the bear from the Revenant. Like, it's like, yeah, that's what would happen, and this is why this game is more important than you thought, because you're gonna die. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Or maybe you won't.
Well, it's that genuine possibility of death, right? It's that peril that exists. Yeah. And I totally agree that, for all that obviously players are not your average beings, there's those heroic qualities, but at the same time, like, nobody is perfect. Nobody's playing like the avatar of a deity of some description. And those story beats, I mean, if you read any compelling novel, for example, there will be moments when the hero is down, there'll be moments when things don't go right, and that is what, in my view, and I sense that we're in agreement on this, drives that compelling narrative and builds that story together. A theatre director that I much respected once said to me that he viewed his role as building the playground and then letting the actors play in it. And I can see some parallels there with the DM. Like, you have this framework, but then the freedom that exists to kind of, and sometimes players do stupid things, right?
And it works. And you're like, everything shouldn't have happened that way, but it's beautiful that it did. Like, you can't force anything to, like a part of it is control.
Yeah,
it's wanting to control life. And for me personally, I'm very aware that life's dangerous, man. Like, tomorrow I could walk out and get hit by a bus. There's no buses down my street, but there could be, and like, that's cool. That's just part of life. And that's the kind of the crazy, wonderful thing. And to take that out of D&D forces everything, and it's like forced fun. You're gonna have fun now, aren't you? You've killed the monster. Well done. But there was no fight for it. There was no struggle. And it's like you say, it's kind of like theater. And to be a bit wanky, like, D&D is art, and art reflects life, and that's the beauty of it. It's chaos and fun and, dramatic at the best of times. And then at the worst of times, it's, everybody's dead. You got to start again.
Yeah. And that can happen. It's harder to do in 5e, but my God, is it possible?
Oh yeah. Oh, I've learned that. Definitely. A few times.
I always think of it when people ask me, so what's this Dungeons and Dragons thing? I refer to it as interactive storytelling with dice. Nice. Because that's what I turn up for, is that building off each other, and like the whole is greater than the sum of the parts, and everybody has a role in telling this. Like, it's bards around the campfire, it grows slightly in the telling with the unreliable narrator. It's like, I cleaved the dragon. Yeah, sure you did. No, you had to be there. It happened. Yeah, okay, cool. I've covered this before, but some people turn up for, say, Adventurers League, and a lot of the time there's less role play and there's more, I want to optimize my character and roll high numbers, and that's fine, right? It's like, turn up for what you're into. But for me, like, it is the story, and it's working together. And sometimes it's trying to always not trying to outsmart the DM, but trying to think of I love thinking laterally around problems, right? And it's trying to come up with ideas that make sense for the character, but are not the obvious, and kind of looking at it that way. Those are the kind of characters that I like to build, the sort of think outside the box ones that occasionally come up with ridiculous plans. But then, like, good DMs like yourself, like Chris, like Emmett, that I've played with.
Thank you very much.
And I'm looking forward to hopefully playing with you as a DM in the future. But I've observed it's that ability to just take that beat and go with it.
Yeah,
like,
that's the
there's
trick.
no. You don't want to hear the choo-choo, everybody aboard the train and time to railroad. Well, I appreciate it.
I've always thought, I've never understood railroading. And I don't know if this is like naivety. I don't know what it is, because I've never had to do it. I've never had to be like, come on guys, there's a story here. like, because personally, I think of, like you're saying, it's interactive storytelling. When I sell it to a lot of my friends, aren't actors, and they don't want to be seen as actors or storytellers. And it's like, I'm an accountant, Naail. That's what I do. I account for things. And I'm like, okay. So I say it's like a video game in your head. Like, we all sit down and play a video game that we can all play together, where you get to be the most powerful hero in the world and you get to run around, and it's fun. And that's how I sell it to people. But I do see it like that. Like, you guys are the main heroes of the story, and you don't have to have like an intimate backstory. You just need to know that you can go in and smash something, and that there's going to be quest, like, there's the occasional joke of, like, you talk to an NPC, and as you walk away, they're just waiting with a quest option on their head, and it's like, you know what I mean? There's breaking the fourth wall kind of vibes, but it's kind of that colloquial funness that I think, that's what I mean. Like, I've never had to say, like, here's the story, you need to do this, because you've got players like yourself that they just come up with, like you say, like, all right, we need to, you need to do that, and they'll be like, but we can do it this way, and you're like, motherfucker. How did I not account for that? That's such an amazing idea. Like, what? You know what I mean?
Style it out like you knew it was coming all along, right?
I just panic. I straight up panic. I'm flipping through the book being like, can they do that? Yeah. I mean, yeah.
We're just gonna take a moment for pizza here while I plan the thing that I knew was coming.
Yeah. We met. That's 100% like, usually whenever somebody says something to me that's like obscene, like that's crazy, I just go, yeah, roll for it.
Yeah.
Like, we'll just make it up. Like, come on, yeah, it sounds good. I'm down. Like, let's play, baby.
It sounds like within that sort of video game metaphor, the role of the DM is almost like part game developer and part narrator. So it's like you're setting the scene, like it was a cold spring night, and and then like just writing the quests on the fly. I quite like that. I can imagine it as a sort of MMO, because also as well, I guess to new players that's quite translatable, and that makes a lot of sense. And it's a way of being inclusive, which I think is also part of it.
The nice thing as well is that, like you say, like they look for things. So one of the easiest ways to get them to do something is to just be like, here it is. Like, not making it too hard, like not trying to be, I don't want to outsmart my players in the sense of like, you never saw this coming.
Somebody should have read page 57
of the notes I gave you on the world law. You've been arrested for littering.
Yeah, that's not fun, is it? Right?
Not what it's about. It's about giving them like an inclusive thing that anybody could play, anybody could get a bit of a kick from. And I love my twists and turns. I'll throw a twist and turn in. We were playing Strahd. And me and my friends basically went like, right, we're gonna do all the source books. We're gonna each take it in turns. We'll pick a source book. We'll fight to the death for the ones we want to do, and play afterwards. And I kicked us off with Curse of Strahd, and never read the book. I was like, I'm just, I'm down for doing this, because one of us had read it and was like, this is amazing, but I kind of want to play it, but I kind of want to DM it. And I was like, well, I'll DM it. And he was like, yeah, I'll play it. I was like, great. And the one thing that I realized was just that this thing is so dangerous. Like, but what if we turn Strahd from this kind of like bad guy that they know is the bad guy? It's Curse of Strahd, that's the title of the book, and make him the good guy. And that's literally what I did, was play Strahd as if he was this,
I love that,
cursed man that was like, my land hates me and I need your help to figure it out. What about this guy that says you're after his sister? Oh, me and his sister are in love. Like, he's just jealous because he's a bit incesty. How's that's very Witcher.
I like that. That's the sort of
I need to get in the Witcher. Yeah.
Yeah. This sort of I'd say read the books initially.
I've got the game downloaded. It's ready to play.
The games are brilliant because of real world consequences and this sort of dark fantasy, where there isn't like hero and villain. It's that much more complicated. Like you're saying here, like I love the idea of someone being compelled to do what is ostensibly evil, but against their will, and this misconception, and that happens in The Witcher a lot in terms of people being seen as monsters, but actually they're just under a curse, or it's just the actual monsters being the sort of the villagers, you know what I mean, like persecuting this, and that's really interesting as it plays that moral grey area.
It's more human. Stan Lee said it, I think, when he was talking about like writing Dr. Octopus and all those different characters. He said that the villain's more interesting when they think they're the good guys.
Yeah, I mean,
as well. Yeah. Because what is a good guy other than, in your own head? Yeah. The Punisher's a good guy. He's not a good guy.
Not objectively, no. No,
not objectively. But he fights crime.
Yeah.
Doesn't that make him a good guy? Like, he does a bit of murderish, I'd say,
That's another great series, to be honest. I love John. Is it John Bernthal?
John Bernthal.
Yeah, it's very good. Very good in The Walking Dead as well. Like, I'm glad to see he's getting his break, because he's top notch.
He's in loads of stuff, and he's brilliant in everything that you say. Fantastic actor.
And he does that morally grey. Because even like before The Punisher, like his character in Walking Dead was very morally grey. Like on the one hand, trying to make sure the group survives. I I don't think it's spoilers. It's season 1, right?
Yeah, I think he dies in season 2. Oh, spoiler.
Wait, he dies in season 2?
Did you only watch season 1? Beautiful.
Yeah, I must admit, I stopped watching after Rick Grimes disappeared. But hey,
you made it further than me.
Shall we roll the dice before we get trapped down this particular streaming rabbit hole? All right.
AMC.
Virtual drum roll in everyone's mind. Okay, interesting. What spell or ability would you have in real life? I will say that we've asked this question before, and the answer was simply wish, which is true. I see it. But if you've got a more
pick the best one.
Yeah, well, exactly. Yeah, I mean that's power gaming to the max, right?
Yeah, wish spell. You get all of them after that. Just wait a day, and you're like, now I have this.
I'm wondering if in the future I should be level 3 or below. So not too...
There's people like me who didn't even consider that.
That's fair enough. So do you have a spell or ability that you think you'd apply in real life? I should add feats to this as well. I'd love to have keen mind or something.
Oh yeah.
It's not
always
forget anything. Go full like Mike Ross. Yeah.
I mean, I've already got what is it? I've already got monk's hands. I'm pretty sure my fist would do more than a strength check of damage. That's just from punching walls.
You're a dex-based character. I get it. Yeah.
No, I don't know. I think we friends are talking about it's either a bard or a warlock for me. But I don't know, man. Like I think what's the maybe something like wild shape would just be.
That'd be amazing.
Because that's like a nice, you can do loads of different things. I mean, an obvious one would be like, it's either a druid or monk level 20 perk where you don't age anymore and you're immune to disease and shit. Like, that'd be pretty. Could you imagine just like walking about the earth, never being worried about being bitten by anything?
That'd be quite cool. Yeah, I'd finally go to Australia.
Yeah. Straight into the red desert and be like, it's fine.
Just looking down, there's like spiders and scorpions hanging off you, like, oh. Nom.
Yeah. The predator has become the prey. I don't know. Yeah, I think a part of me, now that I've said that, I feel like that's the one, isn't it? Like being able to just travel without worrying about disease, and because then you just got to worry about the regular things like eating and and sleeping and not getting stabbed. You got all of, you got essentially the healthiest life you can live because you're not going to age physically. You can still die, but you're not going to you're going to be at your peak essentially. I think that's kind of the dream of being able to live life from your peak till the end, just non-stop peak, and you still get to enjoy it because you don't you'll probably outlive a few people, but you still live your regular lifespan, and I think that's awesome. Yeah, just
being able to enjoy that full lifespan to the max. But yeah, you'd be disappointed if you didn't get the telegram from the Queen, right? You're like, I want to hit 100 at least.
I'd be proper undercover about that. I know I'd be getting like some X-Files CIA like undercover bunker where they'd be like, why don't you die? I'll be like, I don't know.
Just keep falsifying documentation so that this is my son. My father went missing, and I'm just generational good genes. Yeah. I can see the benefit to that. I can certainly see wild shape being fun as well.
That was like an instinct. That was like I want to be a dog.
I'd love to have bardic inspiration. Like I'd love to have the capacity to make other people better.
I feel like you've already got that, man.
Well, I feel like I already have vicious mockery.
We all learned that at year 6.
You can't hurt me, for I will cut you down with my word sword. Yeah.
Sit down, you little bitch.
In your place, for I have the words, and I cannot be hurt. Yeah, I'm not sure why that voice accompanied it, but hey, let's roll with it.
Mechanical vicious mockery, darling.
Yes. No words can hurt me, for you are in the dirt. me. Yeah, a bit of work to do on the poetry, but
Yeah.
Rebecca would be judging that right now. Ooh, so we roll the dice once more,
Roll them again.
and we have a nat 1, but a nat 1 in this case does not spell disaster. A nat 1 in this case spells the question: what is your most epic character moment?
Fuck.
Mm.
I mean, that's such a hard one.
Hey, you know, there might be a few. There might be a few contenders.
It's one of those things that like I remember more about others than I do like my characters because I've DM'd so much, I think. But also when you play, you are, I don't know about you, but when you play, you're kind of interacting with people rather than thinking,
That's
what
it.
am I gonna do? You're like, what the fuck's going on?
That's it. Like, yeah, I would like personally, if I was asked this question, I'd almost find it like I'd find it difficult to think of, because I do think good players kind of park their ego a bit, right?
Yeah,
in order to have that synergy. And then I don't like to think of the game necessarily in terms of, oh yeah, this is the moment when I cast all the spells on myself and killed the dragon single-handedly while all the players were just, you know, riding bitch. It's like that's not fun.
No.
But I guess you can take the question to be like, what is the most epic moment you remember a character doing, which could be something that you helped. Like I remember
there has been like one come to mind. Like there's two that's come to mind. One of them is kind of like more of a, I remember this just being like really cool because it was my birthday.
Oh, brilliant!
And I'd come back from London whilst working. I was working a show, and I got severely ill. Like on my days off, because essentially I was putting so much into the show that when I came back I was just like shaking.
Oh no!
And all my friends came over. Yeah. But on the day of my birthday, all my friends came over and we all played D&D because my character had, I guess this is kind of like an epic moment. The last session before I left to go to London, we got the deck of many things. We defeated like the Midori family. And they were turned out to be like demon cultists and stuff like that. And my character was like, yeah, we've got this. Like, it's a deck of many things. And all the other characters were like, the NPCs were like, it just looks like a deck of playing cards. And I was like, no, they're pretty special. And everyone was looking at the rest of us, and we were like, yeah, we know they're special. And I was like, fuck it, I draw one. Knowing what it is as a player, but being like, nah.
Yeah, of course.
And I pulled Void straight away. So my character just dropped like onto the floor, soulless. And it was brilliant because it was the last day. Like, it was literally the day, a few days before I left to go to London, my character's soul jumped out of his body. So when I came back for my birthday, we played them going to the city of Brass where my soul was kept to rescue me. And it was just like, we fought a red dragon, and like, it was so cool, you know, to sort of be, to role play. I role played two characters, the character like a kind of an escape artist character that helped them get into the city of Brass, and then my character that woke up. And that was like a really cool epic moment that I remember thinking like, thank you, you know, just like, thank you for this. And then it hit 11 o'clock and I was ill and I was like, all right, you gotta leave now. but I remember that being an amazing moment. But the one is like a character that became an epic moment because I didn't understand it. This was another one-shot character that I'd made. We'd met these new NPCs, and I was playing this big tiefling fighter that was like just rough and ready, always ready to go. Almost had like a barbarian rage as a flaw. Like once he started, he couldn't stop.
Yeah.
And we had to roll. We had like a little homebrew roll to calm him down once he started fighting and got into like a blood rage.
Sun's getting real low.
Sun's getting real low, kid. But we'd met these new NPCs called Ivalus and Tristan, and they were pretty cool. Like but they were mysterious. And one of the other player characters was like, I don't trust them. You know, like literally to their face, like, I don't trust you guys. And we were like in a tavern, and my character had like a pretty good perception, and I spotted this Ivalus guy walking out. So I went sneaking behind him. I managed to get all my succeeds, and I followed him all the way into the countryside where there was this cave. And he's, you know, looking around Assassin's Creed style, and goes into his cave. And I went into the cave as well. and it was just full of treasure and like paintings and all these things. And he popped, like, I was like looking around like, fucking hell, this is cool. He popped up and he was like, what are you doing here? And I was like, what are you doing here? He's like, no, I asked you first. And I was like, I don't care. There's something sus going on here. Why do you have all this treasure? And he was like, get out now. And I was like, fucking make me, bitch. Anyway, that ended. Another player managed to like catch up with us and like separate us, and no fight happened. But my character was a character that was gonna fucking, you know, like, motherfucker, if you want to try with me, little puny human. I found out later, and this is like a year later when I came back from London, Ivolus was a silver dragon, and I'd found his hoard, and I literally stared down a dragon and told them to fucking bring it. Not knowing at all. That was good fun.
That is fantastic. Thank Timora. It was metallic and not chromatic dragon.
yeah, I'd have been fucked then. Really, like, come on, bitch. Like, all right. But yeah, they had some really cool moments, and like, it was just such a pleasure to sort of be able to drop in and out of that, and be told these like moments that were like, that's a moment everybody remembers because they literally found out later that that's it was a dragon. Like, you could have died, bro. And I was like, oh fuck.
This makes me wonder, like, how many times there's some sort of dramatic irony going on at the table where players come incredibly close to death without realizing it, and the DM's just sitting there like, please don't do that.
All the time. I had like the very first session I ever DM'd for the guys in 3.5. I picked up this like rule from listening to a podcast that I like. That's how I kind of got into D&D as well, was listening to this Australian D&D podcast. And one of the things he did was kind of like random encounters using like luck checks, like, you know, if you get odds or evens, then something happens. And I quite like that, so I added that into my DMing style, and I just, they were walking up a frosted, you know, like an ice, it's all snow, trudging up the snow, mountainside kind of thing. There's this, you know, it's just tundra for distance. And I said highs or lows, you know, highs. I was like, you got highs, so you get an encounter. I was just like, in the distance, you can see a rumbling, and you can feel it in your feet, and then you can just see a snow giant worm come out and bury itself into the ground, and then another one pops up and buries itself nearby, and they're just writhing in the snow next to each other, potentially playing. And he just went, I want to go. And I was like, what? And he was like, I want to go fight them. And he was like, you're level 3, man. This is just meant to be a nice thing for you to see. And he was like, I want to go fight them, Naail. I was like, fuck me. And the other player was like grabbing him, being like, no, you won't do this. And, do you know what I mean? It's just like, a part of me is a bit like, he must have known that was a bad idea, but I also know my friend, and he's a bit of a nut.
I guess, like, you know, that'll be an anecdote for the party to talk about around the table in the tavern. You remember that guy with the worms? Yeah.
What was his name again? I don't know. I just remember the sound he made when he died.
Johnny McWorm Food. Well, again, that's the risk you run when you make open choices and real world consequences. Like, doing daft shit. Like, would you do that in real life, you stupid motherfucker? That's what you're like. You're really counting on the party to just be like, no.
Yeah, come on, guys, come on.
No death wish, Dave.
I do. I love that. I love that playing characters that are also like against, like, chaotic characters are really fun because they do that shit. They're like, yeah, I'm totally down for stupid shit. And you've got the lawful characters to kind of keep it back. Oh, that's a pretty cool moment, actually. Same character that had the void happen to them. I was kind of getting a bit, not bored of them, but it was my character. It was a character I'd played since my very first game of D&D. It's like my first original character, and I translated it over to 5th ed. And I was kind of getting a bit stale with it. And the deck of many things comes into part of this again. I realized, like, metagaming wise, that the last card to be pulled now is the alignment switch, and my character is a neutral good character. So in character, we were at the deck of many things, and me and another character were like pulling cards just to because we're about to go into a fight. So we need to pull cards to see if there's anything good. And literally, he pulled like 2 cards, and I had like 1 card left, and I knew which one it was. And I pulled it, and I was just like, "This is so cool!" Because now I get to play a neutral evil character, but still keep it in the sense of like the character's the same, but evil now. They're willing to do like fucked up shit, and it kind of translated into when we were in a fight and it looked like we were losing. I was just gonna bolt.
Yeah,
because like. That's kind of where, like, in a normal situation, when your friends are all down and out, you should probably help.
Yeah.
You know, and that's what a good character would do. And those moments where you're like, yeah, this is heroic. And it was just nice to be like, but if I was so selfish, I'd just run away, right?
My moral compass points to self-preservation, I'm afraid.
Exactly. And it's just that nice kind of like, yeah.
As well, because it happens organically, and like you haven't set out to make a character originally that's just designed to fuck the party, but because that happens in game, like it makes so much sense to play that through.
More interest.
Yeah, and then people are like slowly getting more suspicious. It's like it's not like them to run away.
We're waiting for it. Actually, it's kind of one of those. It's one of those characters that. Because I love playing evil characters as well. I've only done it like maybe once, but I really got like a knack for it. And it's one of those like I like suggesting that someone's evil by the things that they say and do, without being like, I'm going to rule the world. You know, what are we going to today? Like I don't know, rule the world. It's more like no, you know, we've got someone for information. They're not telling us anything. Okay, I stick a dagger in his hand. Like simple things. Like that's kind of how I like it, and we're yet to see that of the character, because at the moment the character's been able to coast by because nothing's angered them, nothing's made them edgy yet, which I'm quite looking forward to.
Yeah. It's allowing those consequences to shape the flow of the character, which is brilliant. And I share that with you, I think. I love these sort of morally complex characters. I love playing lawful. I mean, you know, alignments, depending on who you talk to, mean less. But I like to have one in mind just in terms of the direction that the character goes and have those kind of flaws and ideals and things. Because it grounds you in something, right? It's a good starting point, and then you can deviate from that. But for me, it's just a good opportunity to have that foundation of what the character would do. So I love these kind of... you know, one of my favorite characters in the old Baldur's Gate games was Edwin, just the sort of neutral evil Thayan wizard, and that's like, it's great, as opposed to like chaotic evil, because chaotic evil I find less interesting because it's less rational. I like kind of like rational evil, so like I am doing this because like you know, circling back to what you said before, that villains should not necessarily see themselves as villains, and it's like I played a paladin that became basically Jack Bauer, with the caveat that lawful good is not lawful nice. Yeah, it's like if my vow is to protect those that, you know, protect the royal family, for example, and there's somebody who's going to be blowing like a keg of I don't know, magic gunpowder for the sake of argument, then I'm going to find the answers, whatever way it takes, and that was interesting.
That's so much more fun to play, though, isn't it? Like,
yeah, exactly. It's not one note.
And I totally agree with you with the alignments. Like, I know a lot of people do, and that's one of those things where people are like, alignment either matters or it doesn't. But I think for like, especially introducing new people to the game, being like this, you know, you're not just playing a game, because let's be honest, most of D&D is playing you in another version of yourself. Everyone's chaotic good, right? Yeah, a little bit. But also, it's kind of like this kind of grounds. My stepdad played it with me and my little brothers for Christmas. We had like a Christmas themed D&D where they fought a dragon called Santa Claus or something like that. I can't remember. Yeah. But he got so into it because I'd written down that he was lawful good. Yeah, like he was a lawful good barbarian, and he just got into it. And it was like, as soon as you get that taste of like, oh, this is the kind of vibe, and it does it's like the scale for each thing. Because I would say chaotic evil is something I've not played yet, and it's something that I'm actually very keen to play, because I agree with you. on paper, it looks like you've just got to be random. But I love making random things have meaning. Like if you can do something that's random, but in your head, as long as it makes sense, it's fine. That's where I'm at.
It's also a question of perspective, isn't it? Like evil from whose perspective? Because if you imagine like an anarchist, basically, then from the point of view of the people who make the rules, they are social deviants, right? But they would not necessarily see themselves that way, because it doesn't mean that you're incapable of rational thought. It just means that perhaps potentially you are capable of rational thought, but have rejected the system because you've analyzed it and decided it doesn't work. So that I totally see, that there's a lot of interesting ways that you can go within that framework. The most obvious is just not the most interesting all the time, right? So it's just being
but sometimes you can also make it like the most interesting thing in the world. I think somebody said to me, there's great actor advice. There's no small parts, only small actors.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what you're given. Do what you've got with the most grace and the most love, and it will be fucking amazing. You'll chew scenery. You'll just be chewing scenery because you're the lawful good paladin that's like, hey guys, let's make sure everybody's getting along, okay? Do you know what I mean? It's like, right, sometimes that's just the most wonderful character in the entire game. Compared to, the edgy ones. They're like, yeah, I'm wearing my hood and shit. It's kind of like that horrible fighting part. Yeah.
I spend my time staring into the middle distance as the rain falls. The sky is clear. I hold a watering can over my head. Yeah.
Literally, I had so much fun doing that as a joke in a game. We played Dragon Heist. Just like the opening part. Yeah. And I played an Air Genasi monk that had a secret identity. And he was like, his name was like, it was like Alex Andrea or something. It was like a proper like double-barreled superhero identity, and he was also known as the Night Shroud. He would like walk out of a building as the Night Shroud, and then come back in his other form like, hello there guys, I'm the mysterious benefactor that's helping you all out. Anyway, just gotta go. He'd leave, and then the Night Shroud would come from the back of the building and be like, hey, what I miss? But he would be like, justice serves no purpose unless my fist is on the end of it. You know what I mean? There's that like dark broodingness, but because it was parody, it was suddenly more interesting.
Well, you're right. I mean, the thing is that any character can be fun to play if you understand why they're doing what they're doing. Yeah. And I completely agree, especially for new players to have that grounding. And you're right. I think there is a temptation for everybody to play themselves if they don't feel like they have the license to go outside of that comfort zone and that to take that moral leap, and it makes for a more interesting game. And I agree as well, having parties where there's almost a conflicting dynamic, it can be a really positive thing for the game itself.
It's the most interesting part is when two characters can work out how to do, and that's why it's so good for making friends. Like I love D&D because it's a safe space for everyone to have an argument without having an actual argument. Like that is my number one moment all time of D&D, is sat watching two characters have an argument after I'd been put in the void. It was because they were the only ones playing after that, and just watching them have a conversation, and it was and fair enough, at the time they were partners as well, but I didn't see Mike and Lauren. I saw Alex and Luna.
Yeah. And
I was just watching them, and it was like a table tennis match. And me and the DM were literally just like, and it was just the most beautiful roleplay argument that I've ever seen in my life. And then we walked away from that, and the only thing that we could say was, fucking hell, that was great, wasn't it? Like, that was so good, I can't believe it. And that's what it's about. It's like being able to do things that maybe you're not an argumentative person in life. When you play D&D, you can play an argumentative character with the love that you have. Like you can argue with somebody without being personal. I think that's the wonderfulness of it.
Absolutely. I'd say as a slight caveat to that is if you don't know the other person that well, probably check in with them after the arguments. They haven't taken it personally. But if you know people like well enough that you can just kind of completely engage in that character moment, I agree. It's a fantastic thing, and it's made certainly my playing experience for some brilliant story beats as well.
and you make strong friends out of it as well.
Yeah,
when you
absolutely.
can argue with somebody and still be completely in love with them, that's like a really good way to live your life generally. Like, disagree with everyone, but love everyone equally. If you can play D&D with a complete stranger and fucking get to tits with them, and then afterwards be like, "That was good, wasn't it?" You're like, "Yeah, that's it. You've made life now."
That's it. I mean, and it's a fantastic thing to do with friends and to make friends as well. Like I've made some of the closest friends I have just from playing kind of D&D sessions and riffing off it. And it's like, yeah, even if our characters were enemies, ourselves,
you're suddenly friends. Yeah, it's mental, isn't it? Like, you can play completely like characters that just get on each other's tits, but outside of it, you're the best of friends.
Oh, shall we roll the dice on that positive moment and see what we are given? Okay.
Nat 20. Come on, we've got that one, not 20.
I don't think we've had this question before.
All right, interesting.
So this is a 16. And the question is, if you could make yourself in D&D, what would you be?
Literally been having this conversation with everyone in my friendship group for the last few weeks. Now that I'm allowed to go in people's back gardens, I've been like, "Hey guys, now that we can play D&D, what would you be?" So we've decided. You can tell from my natural demeanor, Bard would probably be the one to go. I'm oozing charisma, darling. but like that kind of vibe. But thing that not a lot of people do know about me, I doubt anybody here would know about this. I'm really big into my martial arts and like physicality. And I love fighting. I love wrestling. I'm a bit of a violent boy. I love a good scrap. One of my favorite things is getting punched in the face. So that was kind of what made me think Warlock. And I know I mentioned this earlier, but specifically, if you were going to be in D&D, be a Hexblade Warlock, because they're the perfect combination of magic, combat, and charisma. And that is kind of what I said to my friend, is that it's funny because like I try so hard, like I try to keep fit, I try to do exercise, and I kind of pass by on life through my charisma. And the Hexblade Warlock's perfect because I literally attack people with charisma. I don't need strength, I don't need dex. I literally beat the shit out of people with my charisma bar.
I focus my personality.
Yeah, literally. Yes, that's brilliant. Personality, but fucking into a weapon as well. Like, it'd have to be packed weapon. Do you know what I mean? Like, I've decided that Hexblade Warlock probably, like, I don't know. I think I've never really deviated too much from like the human-looking races. Tieflings are like an obvious favorite for me, just because I like that naughty side. Though I've started to really fall in love with Dragonborns. As of I just keep imagining new Dragonborn characters, and I'm like, oh yes. But I think knowing me, because it's me, it'd probably be like a variant human with like a feat ability. Probably max out my charisma, Hexblade Warlock, and then probably have like, I don't know,
actor.
Yeah, maybe actor feat. Yeah.
I could imagine you taking the Eldritch Invocation that gives you disguise self at will. It's like, yeah, just play any role and have advantage on the roles. Like, be the greatest actor in the world.
Yeah, exactly. Nobody would ever know. Yeah,
like,
no, I
seem to become them.
That would probably, that'd probably be the perfect build for me as a player. Maybe, yeah, I don't know. That's where I'd go with that. But I'm also one of those players that, because one thing that I don't know if a lot of people know about Dungeons and Dragons is that you can train. And I'm a big believer in like training and getting your like head right and getting your senses sharpened. So even if I'm taking like a minus to strength, I'm doing push-ups every day. In a year's time, that 9 strength will be a 10.
Hey, that's the way to go with these longer term like homebrew campaigns.
Isn't it? Exactly. Absolutely. Yeah, you just say it every day. You're like, oh, is it a new day? Yeah, I've done 10 push-ups.
Oh, should we try and squeeze in one more?
Let's go for it.
I think we can. And following the Nat 1 previously, we do have a natural 20.
Yes, that's what I'm about.
Bit of symmetry, bit of synergy.
Oh, that's just my games in general.
Yeah, I hear you there. I think the last stream we had, I had a nat 1 followed by a nat 20. I'm just like, I'm so confused. Am I successful or not? So anyway, without getting sidetracked, the natural 20 question is, which character was the hardest to say goodbye to? Appropriate for our last question, it involves saying goodbyes.
That's cute. I haven't said goodbye to any characters yet. Really, in my mind, because Anton from Sea of Swords has kind of got like the whole thing with Prosperous and Captain Cal Arnold and Milk. Bard has suggested they go into the Feywild for that, to help Veracity. So I feel like they're not really, but they're not done with
their story is ongoing. Yeah.
I think. This is a very hard question because I think I know the character who I'd find the hardest to say goodbye to, and that would be my first character, like, because they're a homebrew character that started off a whole 3.5 campaign story arc. That was the story, was like what about my character, because that was the only thing I knew about D&D was the character I created.
Sure.
And I'd sort of created a story for these guys to play about this character I'd created that I could then play with them in the game. And I think I'd struggle. If somebody said to me, "No, you can never play Hacknar again," I'd be like,
hand over the sheets. No.
Yeah. Yeah, that'd be it for me. I'd probably never play again. never play again.
Flip the table over.
Yeah, it's your baby, isn't it? And it's
yeah.
Now I've finally got the hair, so I can finally look like them and everything. I don't know. Yeah, I've not said goodbye to a character yet. As far as I know, every character I've played could always come back. I've had one character that got executed, but fuck them. Fuck her.
It's their own damn fault.
Yeah, it was my fault for trying to sneak into somewhere and then hide in one of the beds.
Never in the beds.
I got beaten to shit by a lot of monks.
That's like going towards the noise in a horror movie.
Literally. What about you? Because I feel like my answer wasn't good there. What about you?
God. My hardest character to say goodbye to, even though it was totally justified in the story, I had a Triton Paladin Warlock. This was my Jat Bauer character, who again had Deck of Many Things and ended up pulling the card that means a demon lord is after your soul. Yep. So tried to make a deal with Lolth, ended up failing a saving throw, getting turned into a Drider, and then being pulled through a portal into the abyss by a demon. Having tried to kill an NPC, which the rest of the party were like, "Why are you trying to kill them?" And the NPC had literally said, "I'm going to kill you all at some point." And I was like, "Why wait?" Right?
I think you're right. There. Fucking hell, no, but that's a rough way to go. I don't think I've had like the trauma yet. Like I'm sure that's coming for me around the corner.
So the karmic punishment for Chris, because Chris is DMing it in a home game, is that my follow-up character is nigh unkillable as a hobgoblin blade singer. Nice.
That's the way to go around it.
Effective AC of 26. It's all fun and games. Oh, Naail, I've enjoyed this so much. I actually kind of want to have you back because I feel like there's so much more that we could talk about. So chat, if you would like to see more of Naail, just let us know. And if you wouldn't like to see more of Naail, say that you would. And
tough shit, because you are going to see more of me because I'm DMing.
And where are we going to see more of you, Naail?
At Roll Together, twitch.tv/rolltogether.rpg.com.
Damn right. And if you
I think I've just remembered that from all the DMing.
You probably heard it quite a few times.
That's a good. Say it. Yeah, I'm running a show, Escape from Carceri. That's going to be on from the 27th of April till May 18th. So yeah, come check it out. We've got some brilliant players. They've come up with some fucking amazing character concepts that have just been an absolute blessing. So yeah, Enjoy.
And the start of that campaign is available to view now, either on Twitch or on YouTube. So do check it out, and then join us for the live experience. Get involved with chat and so on. It's good. Yeah. Trust me, I've been there. Well. Without, is there anything you want to plug before we finish up today, apart from your show, which we've done?
Apart from the show Escape from Carceri, no, I think we're just I'm just booping about doing Naail stuff, trying to do the best I can, eat good food, play good music, and play with my dog.
People want to know more about you. If you've got any social media, that will be in chat right now. So that will be available to see as long as you've let us know. Otherwise, it won't be. But
follow me on Twitter and see all the stuff I retweet of people getting horrendously injured, and know that I'm cackling on the other end.
If that's your thing, now you have the knowledge and the option. And on that note, thank you for joining us, everybody, and for being part of the show, getting involved in chat, or if you've just been lurking and enjoying the stream, that's also great too. If you have enjoyed us, we do stream Talk Together every Saturday from 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. GMT, and we stream D&D games on Mondays and Tuesdays. On Mondays from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. GMT, we stream Gloom Falls on Baldur's Gate. And on Tuesdays, Naail, tell us once again, what are we streaming?
Escape from Carceri with your one and only, your boy.
It's your boy.
Your boy, me, Naail.
And
rolling dice.
Maintaining a straight and professional facade.
Never.
All of our shows, shut up now. All of our shows stream at twitch.tv/rolltogetherrpg. And there's a YouTube link in chat. And don't forget, you can also enjoy as a podcast on all your favorite podcast providers, or even the ones you hate. We're on most of them. Many thanks again to our D20 Club on Patreon. If you haven't joined yet, consider doing it. Check it out. All of our sponsors and supporters, thank you. And finally, stay classy at the table. See you next time.
Stay classy, San Diego.
Stay classy, San Diego. Steak and waffles. Bye.
The Human Touch was denied a bank loan.